Super Eagles World Cup qualifier 1-1 draw against Zimbabwean side at the Godswill Akpabio Stadium in Uyo has dimmed the chances of the Super Eagles qualification to the World Cup next year. Chel's squad failed to secure 3 maximum points, which was crucially needed to boost our qualification chances for the 2026 World Cup. But in its bitter twists to the tale, Victor Osimhen, who proved hero once again, put the Eagles in front late on the second half, but the celebration would be cut short as a last-minute equalizer from Zimbabwe, who sit bottom of the table, further deep Nigeria's qualification hopes. What are the chances of the Super Eagles in their future encounter? Now, these and more will form the focus of Nigeria today. I am your carrier, Clinton. Welcome. Now, with me in the studio for the conversation is Daniel Adiri, is a sports correspondent and, of course, in-house sports analyst. You're welcome.
Thank you very much, Ikaria.
Also with us, joining us via Zoom, is Richard Toby, a sports analyst and a photographer. You're welcome to Nigeria today.
Hi, good evening. How are you guys in the studio?
I'll start with you, Richard. I know pretty much everybody, every Nigerian right now seems to be a little bit disappointed at this, the whole thing, how the match turned out, even though our hopes were really, really high. But how would you, rate the performance of the Super Eagles in this match?
Okay, number one, okay, good evening, everyone. Okay, number one, I would say that this is a very dissatisfying result for us as a nation, and for the Super Eagles as well, because no one can actually envisage that we would play a 1-1 draw in this game. Though the performance was very poor right from this first half to the second half. There was no kind of creative play from the midfielders, from the field as well. So I want to say that it is a very satisfying one, and I don't know where we are going to how we are going to take it up from there. I can't really say.
Richard says he can't really say, Daniel, I know hopes were really high. We're really expecting quite a lot now. Tell us, how would you rate the performance of the Super Eagles?
Like my friend there, Richard, said, very dissatisfying, highly disappointing by all levels. And from a Nigerian perspective, some might even say it's a slap on our face. No disrespect to Zimbabwe. There's no write-off or push-off in football anymore. It's a team of 11 versus 11. Football has evolved. It's no longer back in the day when you mention a name and definitely it's going to be like 5-0 bashing. Everybody's catching up. However, for a nation that has lost every match, or probably 60% of all their fixtures, they lost 4, drew 2 up until today. So this was the second draw. They've not won any fixture in this group. Bottom of the table as we speak. And for a bottom-placed team on the table who has, up until today, not knocked in as much as 2 to 3 goals in a match, you'd expect that a team like Nigerian Super Eagles, with the firepower that we have in our arsenal, you have everything. You want an RPG, call Osimhen. You want a grenade launcher, you definitely look for Lookman. You want an assault rifle, there's Boniface. We have everything. All the stars in our team, all of them first-team shirt starters across, their various clubs in Europe. And somehow, we could not register at least 2 goals in the first half. That was the first knockoff for me. Were the chances there? Yes, they created chances. But did we take them? Absolutely not. And that is a critical aspect of our game. You play football to the point where it's beautiful, but the game is not just about beauty, it's about results. Results guarantee you qualification, and when you don't get results, it is a problem. Now we're face to face with a South African team that has been on a roll. Beat Lesotho just, few hours ago, 2-0, and right now sitting very comfortably, 13 points clear, on the top of the table. We have to face them next. And with the current form South Africa is in, I dare say it will be near next to impossible I'm not saying we can't. We did it, in the AFCON, talking about last year's AFCON, we beat them. But it will almost be near impossible to beat South Africa in their home, going there to get at least the much needed. Because it's more like do or die now. That's what it is. If you thought this was a do or die match, trust me, the next match we're going for, it's literally war. If we don't win, forget it. Early 2026, bye-bye. Just forget anything World Cup. This was the match that would have put us almost close to the driver's seat and giving us what you call relative hope. But I wouldn't say Shell didn't bring his best metal forward in terms of strategy. It's easy to blame the coach. Normally, it's football. The coach always gets the boot. Even when the players on the pitch don't do much, it's always the coach. Shell put forward a very good, squad against Rwanda. We saw that, and it played out, However, in a team of 11 players, when there is only one man who is doing the job of 10 others, there is a problem. Which means if there is no Victor Osimhen, the Super Eagles is just desolate land. The only X factor in that team right now, of who we can always look to and say, this is the Elijah, this is our Messiah, this is our numero uno go-to. We know definitely with Osimhen, in Osimhen we trust, we will win. And he delivered, yes he did. But without Osimhen, you subbed him off, barely 5 minutes later, we are conceding. And it puts things into context. Is Osimhen the only player in that team? There is an Olaino, there is a Boniface, all of the players mentioned, all of them are star forwards, midfielders for their various club sides. All of them starting shirts. And somehow, of all of them, the only person who was able to break that ice and say, no, we must score, was Osimhen. It puts a lot of things into perspective. Some might even say that it's near impossible to find a replacement, but you really need to look deeper. Like Richard said, there is a problem in that middle. There's always been a problem with our middle.
Okay, I'll have to stop you here, Daniel. I know you have quite a lot to say there. Now, back to you, Richard. Daniel has, of course, mentioned something I wanted to ask. Talking about, the Super Eagles coach approach, the Shell's approach. What would you say, looking at what played out today? What would you say about his approach?
Okay, let me say that thankfully we got the first goal, right? And we got it very late. There is no much English on this because honestly, I have to be sincere with you, I'm not happy. I wasn't like this, even right from the first half of the match, I was not happy at all. Till the end of the game, I wasn't happy, like till now. So we were leading in the first, with one goal ahead, bringing out Osimhen for Boniface, we don't really need it. What we need is the 3 points. We already got a goal ahead. We are leading already. So we don't really need Boniface anymore. We don't need Boniface any longer. The approach right from time, it worked out for us against Rwanda. And yes, the same approach. He did, yeah, on against Zimbabwe. But if Osimhen is coming out, he should bring in a defender. Then a different approach will come in from there because we need this particular game. Drawing this game is not a good result for us at all. It's not a good result at all. I feel that okay, you are bringing out Osimhen, who worked so tirelessly on the field. He was doing the same work as a striker. He did the same work as a midfielder. He did the same work as a defender. Osimhen was everywhere. He scored a good goal for us. Bringing out Osimhen and bringing in Boniface, we don't need it. Are we looking for another goal? A coach like Jose Mourinho, we defend this 1-0 because we need this game. A defender should be coming in. A defensive approach should come in immediately because we are already leading. This is what we need. This is a game that we need. If we win today's game, in fact, the next game will be a kind of a win-win situation. So during this game now, it is a very poor result for Nigeria. It is a very poor result for us. You should bring in a defender and change the tactical approach of it. I don't expect a lose out defensive play out from the captain, from Ekong. It shouldn't be playing like that. That goal was so cheap. It was so honestly, it is very infuriating to say that kind of a goal. Okay, so my point now is that we already know that we are leading. and the game is coming to an end already. What you need as a coach, and the fact that we need the game more, is to bring in a defender. Let us just take the 3 points away. That is what I think he should bring in, not Boniface. Arokodare did so very well coming in.
I was like, we've lost in here. We really have maybe a little bit of a network issue there. We'll get back to Richard as soon as he's with us. Now, Daniel, of course, I know you've said quite a lot about the chances Nigeria have. Now, looking at the table, what would you say are the chances of the Super Eagles qualification to the World Cup?
Well, it's a very tall order. It's seriously, we're talking climbing up Mount Everest at freezing conditions of probably above 120 degrees. It's a mighty tall order, literally, and I'm not going to be nice about it. It's going to probably take a miracle. That's where we are right now. Back in the day, this was what Nigeria was known for: permutations and hopeful prayers that, oh God, help us. And we don't need to be in these positions. It's why we bring in all of these firepower, so that we get results. And then we can take a break. Nothing stops us from clearing out the entire table with probably 2 to 3 matches in hand. Nothing stops us. If we had done what we're supposed to do in the previous matches where we had draws, we wouldn't be in this situation. We wouldn't even probably need the Zimbabwe match as much. It would be a case of, okay, let's bring in all the other younger guys on the team, give them play time, the Al-Hassan Yusufs, the Joe Aribos, and all the other younger guys, give them play time and let them see. And then the big boys can probably just be on the bench, giving moral support. But you are in a situation where you have to and must. And sadly, you did not win. Now you are mounting Kilimanjaro on top of Mount Everest, and you are just looking straight up into the skies, and it's like it's near impossible. But then again, nothing is impossible. We've seen the miracle of the La Remontada, Barcelona coming from 3 goals down to win 6 against PSG. We saw that just recently again against Atletico de Madrid, 2-0 to 4-2.
Is there a possibility that...
That's what I'm saying. It's football. Anything can happen. This game is one of the most wonderful, beautiful, dynamic games in the world. A team losing 1-0 in the 85th minute can end up winning that match 3-1. A team who is leading 3-0 can end up drawing or even losing the match 4-3 by the 95th minute. It's football. Anything is possible, right? However, it comes down first to approach. The coach needs to, like Richard said, at the junction where Boniface came in, for me, it was an absolute no-no. You do not need a striker replacing another striker. Osimhen had done the job. He got us the goal. We were in the driver's seat. This was the 90th plus minute, literally end of the game. That goal came in the 2+ minute, 92nd plus. We didn't need that. You can bring in an Onyemiachi. You can bring in Al-Hassan Yusuf. These are defensive-minded players, and they lock up shop for you. Leave Arokodare to run in front, or you can probably just leave him with Moses Simon or probably Lookman. Leave the 2 of them. You play an 8-man wall. 4 in the middle or 5 at the back. Put 3 in the middle. Lock up that midfield. Lock up that defense. Like they say, anywhere Belefis. Clear the ball out. You don't need to throw bodies at the box. We've scored. We needed a goal. We got it. Thanks to Osimhen. And sit in the back and protect your back line. But you keep pushing, and then you have that little lapse there from Trustekong, which for me was absolutely woeful. For a professional star like Trustekong, who has been at the elite of the most elite of all, football, making that kind of mistake in such a match that is as crucial as this is, it's highly enunciating and, like you said, infuriating. From a player like Ekong at his level, very infuriating and was not expected at all. But what's done is done. It happened. We can't cry over spilled milk. We move on to the next. Approach. I can't fault his choice in players. The team list, I saw it before the game. Good. However, the approach must change. You can't rely solely on one man. I don't know how to sound this enough, and I know it sounds like but it is the truth, because at the end, Osimhen is that guy. He will always deliver, but we need to spread our wings. We need to now, should I say, perfect the wing approach. Ours has been a nation of wingers. The Odegbamis, the Christian Chukus. We had the Garba Lawal of ancient time. These were the people who die hard no matter what happens. Yekini is running into the post. You know, Mathematical Odegbami is already running with that ball. He gets there, he makes that crossover. Yekini is waiting patiently in the middle and he puts the ball away. We need to go back to the old ways. We need to revisit what made Nigeria football as great as it was. We need to bring back some of those old tricks. Like they say, no matter how old a dog, you can never teach an old dog new trick. We are supposed to be the old dogs that are respected. And this is where we need to really get it right.
Thank you very much, Daniel. I can feel the passion there. Now, Richard, now, I know Daniel has said, okay, it's almost impossible for us to, secure a qualifier right now for the World Cup. Now, I want you to give us your own perspective. What do you think? Is it possible for us to, qualify for this World Cup? Okay. Okay, Richard, I was saying, Daniel here has said it's almost impossible for us to, qualify for these for the World Cup, given what is playing out right now. So, I want to get your perspective on this. Is there a possibility that we can qualify with what is on ground?
Okay, right from time, we are always waiting for this kind of a conversation to know if there is possibility or not. We always wait for some team to lose, or possibly find this kind of permutations for Nigeria Super Eagles to qualify for to the next stage of a particular competition. Well, I cannot write us off now at the moment. Anything can happen, but I cannot say 100% or even have a 75% assurance that we will qualify, but anything can happen. This is football. So I would say it's 50-50 chance if we qualify good, because that is kind of mentality. Football is mentality. If you know the reason why you are playing for something, then you should put in that effort. Whenever Osimhen is with the ball, you will see that zeal. You will see that fight. You will, even when he's not with the ball, you will still see the fight. So you cannot be so relaxed playing this kind of a competition. This is an international event. So a result, they played it out. So we should just wait. I cannot say that we will qualify, but it is a 50-50 chance.
Daniel, of course, he says a 50-50 chance, just like you rightly said earlier. Now, what would you like to see change if we want any miracle to happen right now?
Well, if we're looking for miracles, definitely we need to increase our prayer chain. But to be more factual, football is played on the field, not on the prayer altar or in church or in the mosque, as the case may be. We would definitely need to change approach. Everyone is different. Okay, I need to put this in perspective. Everybody is different. Lookman is not half as muscular or ferocious at defenders the way Osimhen is. Osimhen charges like a bull. Even if you stick a knife in front of him, he will still charge at you. That is the Victor Osimhen personality. He is VO9. He is that guy. Irrespective of who you are, he will charge at you. However, a Lookman is what I'll call a much more classy, stylish footballer. Likes to do a bit of flicker, dance around, and then finesse. That's the word. He's a finesse kind of player. So, what I think Shell should do now is you have 2 6-foot strikers in your team. Arokodare is 6'6", if I'm not mistaken. Osimhen is about 6'7". These are really tall people. How do you make use of the tallest players in your team? You need to perfect the art of aerial balls. We're back to wing play. Lookman was playing at a point, if I'm not mistaken, as a false nine today, of which, naturally, he should have been a winger. Chukwueze, who was supposed to be the 11, and I'm sorry to say this, a lot of people might not agree to me, but at this junction, I would like to openly say that the NFF, in my opinion, should not invite Chukwueze to the national team, henceforth.
Why do you say
because
that?
In the last 3 games, anyone who has watched Nigerian football properly, like you're not doing it because of sentiment or bookmaking, you've watched the game and you've seen what Chukwueze brings to the national team, you will agree with me that at this junction, he needs to, even if you invite him, put him on the bench. He does not at this junction deserve to wear the Nigerian color.
He can be on the bench, no problem. But he can't don the jersey of the Nigerian national team on the field until he gets his act together. There was a time Chukwueze was that guy. He was. But I don't know. Probably he's in the moment, midlife crisis. Call it whatever name you want to call it. But Chukwueze needs to get himself together. There were way too many chances that Chukwueze should have buried. Many. Passes he should have made, he decided to hold on to the ball. Unnecessary dribbles, which is another thing. He loves to razzle and dazzle. And in a game that is this crucial, you do not need razzle and dazzle. It's not necessary. I need to give props to Moses Simon. He was a menace in the defense of Zimbabwe today. Passes upon passes, crosses upon crosses. He was an absolute menace. So I need to give kudos to Moses Simon. Yes, a few mistakes, but at least in terms, on a scale of probably 10, he did more like 6 of good and 4 bad. So Moses Simon, for me, he earned his dues today. But Chukwueze, I am sorry, no. And I will say it anywhere. If you are inviting that guy, he should be on the bench. If I better still, don't call him until he gets his act together. There are many other left wingers in the world who are of Nigerian descent that can play a better game. Better still, you can move Lookman to the left, let Moses Simon play on the right, or Moses Simon to the right and bring Lookman to the left. Lookman played on the left wing when Atalanta won against Bayer Leverkusen in the Europa League last season. Right now, what Shell needs to do going forward, if at all we must get anything out of our match against South Africa, which is, like I said, do or die, that middle line needs to be checked. Wilfred Ndidi is a midfield marshal. However, he is not attacking minded. You need somebody in the class of Pedri, who, when a player like Frankie de Jong is sitting back to close ship, a moving player like Pedri needs to come into the team where once Ndidi is sitting to protect, he's moving with the ball. Iwobi was supposed to play that role, but Iwobi does not have the skill set to move the way he's supposed to move. He is a good midfielder, but he doesn't move in the capacity of a creative midfielder. He just plays regular midfield. You are wearing a jersey number that requires you to play in a creative dimension, such that passes that even strikers themselves don't see, you see, and you make room for those passes. That is what we need. A player who can move the ball from the middle to the final third and make the decision as to whether or not you are laying it to the 9 or you are pulling out to your 11 or 7, who in turn square or give you that aerial cross, pull over, and then there's Osimhen or Arokodare waiting in the air to nod.
Thank you very much, Daniel. Now, Richard, I would also want to get your perspective on this. What would you, want to see change, if we are to secure this, qualifier in the World Cup?
Can you come again, please?
What would you want to see change if we are to, secure this qualifier in the World Cup?
Okay, thank you. You see, the coach needs to understand that this is Africa, and you cannot compare African football with Europe football. African football requires much energy. African football requires much power. African football requires to be very, very, very strong. Players like Alex Iwobi, players like Chukwueze cannot continue to play in their roles because, number one, they are not fit enough to give what it takes to be playing in Africa. We cannot have a player like Alex Iwobi in the midfield as a creative midfielder, and we are not getting anything from him. Alex Iwobi is too light to play in that position. He lacks vision. He's not creating much required passes that is being required from him. The same thing with Chukwueze. Chukwueze, his head is always down. So the kind of approach that I feel that Eric Shell should bring in a player, this Papadania is an NPFL player, and the guy knows African football. Today it was just like me watching an NPFL match. It wasn't a game as if like it was needed. It wasn't a game as if they were playing for something. Nothing. I was watching the match as if I was watching Shooting Star and Kano Pillars. No zeal, no fight. That okay, we are playing for a particular reason. So Alex Iwobi should be out of the midfield. Chukwueze should be out from that flank. Let's see something different. We have Arokodare who has this kind of holding. He knows how to hold ball in the box. It's in. We have a player like
Thank you very much, Richard. This is where we will draw the curtain on today's episode of Nigeria Today. A very big thank you to Richard Toby, a sports analyst, and of course, a photographer. Thank you so much for joining us on the program. And also here in the studio, Daniel Aderie, our sports correspondent, and of course, in-house sports analyst. Thank you so much for sharing your perspective.
Thank you.
And thank you for being part of the program. Don't forget, Nigeria Today is every weekday at 7:30 p.m. on NTA News 24. You can also check out this episode and others on www.youtube.com/NTA News 24. I'm Ikaria Clinton. Goodbye.